Another Tuesday at 4 p.m. That means it's draft time here on the Splash Play channel. We're going to hop over to the world of drafters once again and do a draft for $500,000 of first place. Total points draft, PPR format on there, no playoff pods, so your luck is out the window, sissy. I'm sorry for calling you a sissy, but let's get to our draft and wait for this shit to fill for about 10 minutes. We got one spot left in here on drafters. Of course, if you watched my my stochastic stream right before this one, you did hear most of my takes already and some of the key news items we have. Nick Chubb signing with the Texans. Old guys, are they ruling the roost? I do think it's kind of interesting to think about a little bit right now where, you know, the last couple of years we've had these dusty old running backs. People took a good amount in drafts. And by the way, make sure you are going on to drafters here. We got to fill this one spot so we can actually do a draft on here. Promo code SPLASH, $100 deposit match at drafters.com, or if you download the Drafters Fantasy app on the App Store right now. But for Nick Chubb, for J.K. Dobbins, who also signed literally while I was streaming an hour ago, I guess probably less than that, you have two old players that were going for free that now have pretty decent outcomes. For Nick Chubb, I don't think it's a great runway immediately unless you know about Joe Mixon apparently walking around in a walking boot at OTAs and mini camps so far. I think he's mostly contingent value from a guy like Joe Mixon. But frankly, with Joe Mixon, he was a guy that got subbed out at the goal line a good amount last year. They could absolutely be the case that happens again this year. So for Joe Mixon, like, he's your bell cow back most likely. But Nick Chubb, similarly dusty, low avoided tackle rate, kind of steady hand, but not really going to do anything that crazy. They're very similar players. So Woody Marks, as you guys know on stream, even though he's a USC alum, I have shit all over Woody Marks. Don't think he's ever been a good click. For Nick Chubb, he's at least free, and he's probably got a shot to get you 1.5 goal line opportunities or red zone opportunities a game. He's a good click. So I think he is certainly an interesting one. The better click, though, I think would have to be J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins been going for free as well for a while. And I think people have really avoided this year your Nick Chubbs for the most part, your Dobbins for the most part. And if they have taken them really late. Because people got burned in previous years by the Leonard Fournettes of the world. Kareem Hunt, even though he paid off last year, people really didn't take him last year. It was more of the year before that he took him, and it worked out okay, but still wasn't spectacular. Ezekiel Elliott paid off a couple years ago for the Patriots, but it's kind of an ugly journey to get there. I think for comparing those guys to guys like Dobbins in this situation, people love the RJ Harvey setup, obviously with where he's going, the top 50 ADP and a lot of rooms higher than that. Pretty clear that people like Denver conceptually. With Dobbins, you have a guy who overproduced last year, a name also that people know, which a lot of these platforms, in particular your DraftKings, I think matters a little bit more. Dobbins can get steamed up 50 spots. So right now he might be one of your biggest, closing line value players in a best ball mania format. So for Dobbins, I got a lot of him pre-draft, less so in BBM. That's not great. The good thing for me, though, is I didn't get a lot of RJ Harvey. I actually have only one share in Best Ball Mania of Harvey. I presume I've got like none on drafters as well. RJ Harvey was a player I just didn't like the ADP for, and now I'm really justified in that. For Harvey, I have to assume he falls to the Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson realm, and that's probably where he should have been the entire time, to be honest. But, that's a player now. His price is completely different, and if you load it up on him, doesn't mean you're dead. You're not the only one that did, but wasn't a good click. Right now, it doesn't look like it was a good click. Shout out to all the guys in this drafters room. You can see that we are kicking off here with me in the 4 hole. Shout out drafters, not pinning me always to the 11 and 12 hole. I feel like on DraftKings and Underdog, I've been locked in at the back half of every room lately. You'd all see I am the KY's new Splash Play Avatar of the Week. It looks like we are getting closer to the original one, but that's not how water splashes. You're losing the credibility that the initial avatar had. We got Bijan, we got Saquon here. What? Saquon got flipped by Bijan on drafters? Since when? I'm going to take Saquon here. I've got Bijan at 5 in these rooms. What happened? That wasn't the case on even Friday. I don't I am confused. Unless I missed something entirely, it's possible. Maybe I just wasn't picking any spots and I didn't get it. That's crazy to me. I don't see the case for Bijan moving ahead of Saquon. Definitely Gibbs at 2. That I don't get. No respect to Osh if he's in the room here. What's going on here? Gibbs. Gibbs normally has a 6 ADP. Huh. You mean your thing for that Bijan and Gibbs both have that Saquon does not is there's a credible RB2. Like for Gibbs, you have David Montgomery. We know the Lions like him. For Saquon Barkley, you have Will Shipley, who's nothing. You have AJ Dillon, who's nothing. And he honestly seemed like his career was over last year. Bijan Robinson, you have Algier, who isn't going to get a crazy amount of work, but in game scripts where Atlanta's ahead, you're probably going to see Algier still get goal line work, still get, kind of salt in the game when he touches, because he's a back they trust for that. I just don't get why Saquon would not be your first running back off the board. Like, and again, I say this to somebody last year, people on Twitter still obsessed with the idea that I didn't like Saquon enough last year, much like the entire industry. And I didn't, but like, I still think that for the price tag this year, he is your one of few top backs. There's really no credible case against him besides just, we got so much volume last year. Oh, he's like older, like whatever. Hurts is due to get more touchdowns. I don't know. Got Barkley at 5 at DK. Great. I mean, that's a great click. Like, honestly, if Barkley's going to fall at all in a room, I would scoop him up every time. There's no reason for him to do it. And you also, like, quite frankly, people always ask this, like, oh, should I get this unique combo at the 1-2 turn now? And like, should I go reach for, this guy and that guy? No, you shouldn't reach at all for these big tournaments that are open in perpetuity for the entire summer. You should just be taking whatever value is there. If Saquon's there at 2, take Saquon at 2 over and over and over again. But like for O'Shea in draft number 6, unless your plan is to only do like 10 drafts and you're just going to do them all in June and that's it, you should be taking Barkley at 2 as much as you can. If you get Gibbs available, then take him when he's available. But don't reach for unique combos in June. Don't do it in July even. Do it in August when you're like mostly done with your drafts and it's like, oh shit, I don't have enough Malik Neighbors. I'm going to take him over CeeDee Lamb. Great. I would fucking do that anyway, even if I'd had enough Malik Neighbors. But I think that for Malik Neighbors, like, reaching for a guy like him because you don't have enough, that makes sense. But don't do it now. I don't know. Because people get bored, like, building the same teams. Whereas, like, for me, it's like, cool, if I'm building a similar team to what I've built before, I'll find some deviations. I'll try to be mindful of where I do have similar players in terms of, like, how I'd project them and try to get the exposures closer there. But I would say try not to do, like, I'm bored clicks. Like, I don't think I'm bored clicks help you out in best ball a bunch. Soaking up that value is going to be the better thing. Shout out to all you guys hanging out here. Again, this Tuesday draft window, man. I'm never going to get views here. But for you guys that are here, shout out to all you guys hanging out. You'll get the most candid version of me because I know nobody's going to watch this. So that's that's a positive. I like just doing my drafts. And, it's an honest living, We got Rashee Rice here. He is coming up in ADP a little bit. Obviously, Bucky and Saquon, a combo I like a lot, but I've gotten enough of it at points. I'll go Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice, unfortunately, we've just got to pay the price tag at this point. Now that he is healthy enough, participating in OTAs, it is wheels up for him in ADP. It would not shock me if he got closer to the McConkey, A.J. Brown range because the public absolutely loves Rashee Rice. My big thing with Rashee Rice is that he is still a guy that athletically does not profile to be a beast. They are now bringing in an athletic beast in Jalen Royals, who does some similar things for Rashee Rice. But Rice has performed well. I mean, just going through the numbers, I don't think there's anything I critique too much. 0.3 ADP per target for a guy who's getting 5.6 air yards per target. If I'm going to critique anything, it would be that. The low ADOT is not the sexiest, but he's really efficient with those, short targets, so he's making it work. I'm just not the biggest Rashee Rice guy. I mean, 35.4% target per out run for as much as he played last year. That is a crazy amount of targets. But I expect that to go down, whether it's Marquise Brown out there in 3 wide receiver sets, if it's Jalen Royals out there, Worthy should be better this year as well. I'm just not – it's hard for me with Rashee Rice. It really is hard. But I don't want to be at less than 8% of him, so taking him here. But a Barkley Rashee Rice start doesn't feel bad. Probably feel better for playoff best ball, I guess. But guys, show some love if you can. If you get value out of this content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Gonna have some new stuff coming out as well, content-wise, throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, a lot of the drafts here, in particular the Friday 3-man draft, not 3-man draft, 3-site draft, where I draft on DraftKings, on Underdog, on Drafters. That's gonna be a focal point of what I do this summer. But I'm also going to be adding, I think probably not until after I go on a little family thing at the beginning of July, to start doing daily updates in the morning, where basically my goal is going to be to put out a 5 to 10 minute video with news updates and just do that every morning. And that's going to be it. And that's going to be like not going to be it, but like I'll still do the drafts in the afternoon. But I'm going to try to stick to doing that when Luca goes to daycare in the morning is my goal. So probably around when training camp starts, but that's, same thing I did last year. I'd put the update at the beginning of the video. Now I'm going to separate it out or try to. We got Garrett Wilson here. Pretty nice discount. Normally has a 22 ADP, getting him at pick 28. Certainly if Bucky had come back, that would have been tempting to add with Rashee Rice, but we've got Saquon here. So Saquon, Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson start. Obviously makes us very live for a Justin Fields team, which I'm happy to do. Ideally with Garrett Wilson, but also happy to do it without him. As I just did on DraftKings right before this show. For Garrett Wilson, I think the big thing for me is that he's probably your only Jets receiver that hits with any reliability. And I do think for him as well, he's got a good shot with that receiving core they have right now, where you have nobody who's a good target earner. Allen Lazard, even though he played outside of his mind last year. Aaron Rodgers is a big part of that. A lot of the bullshit, we talked about a good amount in the Discord, if you are a member on there. A lot of the production he had last year is kind of the bullshit broken plays that, Aaron Rodgers is really good at. Like, it's a skill absolutely that Aaron Rodgers can take advantage of those. But Lazard got that production largely because he was on the same page as Aaron Rodgers for that stuff, and Garrett Wilson wasn't. Devontae Adams wasn't. I don't think that's going to be there for him this year. But Josh Reynolds, maybe he could spike a couple times throughout the year. Mason Taylor, I'm hoping can give me 5 to 10 points sometimes and spike occasionally. But in reality, if you told me only one player in the Jets, maybe excluding the RBs, is going to hit and score 30 fantasy points, and it's not Justin Fields, it's got to be Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson should be dominating target share. He should, in my opinion, be that 35% target per out run level. He should be Puka Nacua level this year. He should be getting fed really aggressively and a more efficient offense than he's probably ever had as well. A lot of Lions principles being brought over with the guys they've hired, obviously starting with Aaron Glenn up top, but in particular, the entire coaching staff now is Lions disciples. So you're going to see running. You're going to see running leading to efficient passing. And I think, too, you're going to see the best player be targeted a lot because that's kind of the same thing the Lions do. And best player is going to be Garrett Wilson by a wide margin. So I want to get more Garrett Wilson as I go. Definitely a player that I'm very, very cozy clicking right now. As opposed to Rashee Rice, who I'm not. But I think Rashee Rice is a good player. I just feel like he's gotten there very flukily, in my opinion, for his career so far. The run out last year where there's just nobody else good, and the guys who they thought were going to be good were hurt. I think that really benefited him more than it will this year. And Worthy showed a lot of growth. But if I want to have Rashee Rice, got to take Rashee Rice at pick 21 here. Love Garrett Wilson this year. Might be my favorite click. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's my favorite click. I think my receiver, my favorite click is probably... the most fun click is Neighbors, I think, still, because he could put up a year that, I think he could put up a crazy, crazy year. I worry a little bit about his, willingness to play through injury. I think we saw some downside with that last year. But I think he hit an upside in terms of target earning and, again, the QB having a bunch of outs there for, quality play this year, I think is good for him. I think he's a guy that I get excited to click. My favorite click, though, is probably Drake London right now. I think the target earning for there is going to be really good. He really proved himself to be the true number one receiver when Penix took over. I think there's big upside. I like Drake London as a click a good amount as well. You make another Philly bet here with Devontae. We could take James Cook at a slightly depressed ADP. Cook is in camp because he doesn't want to get fined, but it does look like it's going to be a hold in. So he might still have an ADP cliff that comes throughout the summer, but the fact he's in camp at all, probably a good sign for his ADP holding somewhat steady until we get to July and he's not practicing then. That could be an issue. But right now we have Saquon Barkley, James Cook, Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson. So Philadelphia Buffalo correlation for week 17, which doesn't matter obviously on drafters nearly as much as on Underdog and DraftKings, but things can vault you over the top in a total points format as well. So I'm not mad at getting that. I think this team's nicely balanced. I think it depends what we get on the way back, how good I feel about it. But I think we've got players with upside here. Auto-clicking Cook in the fourth. I mean, yeah, his true price was definitely more Breece Hall area. So I think absorbing whatever value there's left from his holdout makes sense. I still think there could be another ADP cliff, though, where, again, if he gets into July, the hold-in is still going on for him. He's got no shot getting paid 15 mil, probably no shot getting paid 13 mil. If I had to guess, his best hope is getting to 10 mil with incentives would be the kind of deal that works for a young guy that you don't want to lose entirely. I think that's a possibility. So that's the one thing with James Cook is like there might be a buying window in the 50s again, but getting him at 45 here, if I had to guess, like right now with him at least reporting for camp, he's probably going to be mostly 45 and lower. 48 at BBM, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Like the target share for Neighbors and Wilson more than London, but all fun clicks for sure. I mean, the thing for London is I think you have a better shot at it being an elite offensive environment. Like I think Penix is going to be, I think he's going to be a slinger. Like I strongly believe that. I mean, he already was, based on what we saw so far. Zay Flowers goes. Do you like him as a click? Courtland Sutton's here. Frankly, Courtland Sutton probably loses a little bit from the Dobbins edition. Not enough to matter, but he probably loses a little bit from it. But I'll go Sutton here. Sutton, really one of those guys that I think has performed well in the red zone. Let's confirm that. Yeah, Sutton had 1.4 red zone targets a game. That's elite usage. For comparison, Justin Jefferson's at 1.5. Brock Bowers at 0.9. So, like, Sutton had great red zone usage. You have Dobbins able to take red zone touches away now. RJ Harvey, that was never going to be the thing for him, really. But you still have Estime there, who they want to give some power, snaps to, it seems. That hurts Sutton's outlook a little bit. Like if you're building projections, like Sutton loses a few points over the course of a season for that. As wide receiver 3, we're just trying to make up some value here because we had our 2 RB deviations for Barkley and Cook. So Sutton works for this team. Atlanta probably does have the most upside in offense as a whole. I mean, yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like trying to capture the outlier teams as much as you can. I talked about this on the DraftKings stream, so apologize for repeating stuff, but I do want to make sure, because not everybody's going to watch both things, so I just want to touch on the stuff that I think is important for the day. Big article in The Athletic about Chris Godwin and why he came back to Tampa Bay. I had time to read it this morning. And basically, 2 things to know. Number 1, his ankle injury was a lot worse than was reported. It wasn't just a dislocated ankle. He broke his fibula, had to get steel plates put in. He said the pain was like a 14 out of 10 compared to his ACL injuries, which were like much less painful for him. So he's had a really tough time with it. But a big part of the reason he came back to the Bucs is that number 1, he felt like he's reached his apex as a player, and like the offense, like they all love each other as a team. They all hang out together. Like apparently they do game nights, which was something they talked about last summer too. But they do game nights with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield, Cade Otton, a few of the other guys on offensive line. He wanted to be back with that. Like New England offered apparently $30 million a year, and Tampa Bay got him $22 million, and that was the best they could do cap wise. And he took that. So like, Godwin, I do think with the injury, this guy took him here at 61. It wouldn't shock me if there's a period where Godwin goes into the 70s, 80s more, because there's a chance, it sounds like, that he could go to the PUP list. I'm not sure. It's it's a coin flip to me in terms of how I'd view it. I'm willing to absorb that for Godwin, but markets do freak out about stuff like that. So if Godwin does hit the PUP list, that'd mean the first 4 weeks, obviously, that he wouldn't be going. If this injury drags out, they still seemingly expect him to be ready to go for week 1, expect him to be able to go in training camp, but it sounded like a really bad injury. So good things for the offense, good things for them, kind of having those. I think a team that last year felt like they had special vibes when you watch them a good amount, like I did because of the amount of Bucky I had. Really watched a ton of Commanders, a ton of Bucks last year. Both were very fun watches. Godwin was great last year. Injury, though, not just like a simple, he like sprained his ankle really bad. Like, no, he fucking cracked some shit. He had like the full, actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago about Godwin, but like there's a guy in AEW, Adam Cole, where he had fallen off of the stage at one of their shows in the UK. And like, he like collapsed his like leg, basically same thing, broken fibula, ankle dislocation. And then it became a thing where he was out of wrestling for like a year and a half or something like that, somewhere in that range. And that's, that's wrestling where you can get through, it's not real. You get through stuff easier. So I don't know. It's definitely not the most encouraging if you want to be a Debbie Downer. We're on the clock here. Really not a lot I love at receiver, not a lot I love at RB. I feel like I fall into this trap a lot, just taking Sam Laporta. But Travion Henderson, some FUD on him lately. Hayden Winks talking about the fact that basically guys who are Travion Henderson's size have historically been that James White third down back kind of role in Josh McDaniels offenses. That does throw maybe a little bit of the market-based water on the fire of Travion Henderson. But I really think the biggest thing for me with Travion has been the case as well. The rookie enthusiasm now starting to lead to these guys. ADPs falling a little bit. You still have Ramondre there in a pretty fat deal. He's a guy that can be an approximation for the Derrick Henry high usage power back kind of thing. I think that for Henderson, he's not my favorite click in this range. So that's why I'm taking Laporta instead. I don't love Laporta either, but really all the guys here, just not a lot for me being done by them all. Who else out there is a Texas-sized Chubb? I think if you take a Chubb for free, you feel good about it. But I still think he's mostly contingent value. Just find it hard to believe that that's going to be anything more than that. Got KG here, excited here, hyped to hear the Dobbins news. A Denver fan, glad to see we signed a guy like him. I mean, you probably shouldn't be as excited about it because, like, you just took a rookie who should have been exciting, and, like, that should have been the fun thing. But, they're a team that seems like they're trying to win now, so they made the playoffs last year, and I certainly think it wouldn't shock me to see Denver make an AFC title run or something like that. But, for guys like Dobbins, when they come in, I don't love the addition necessarily because he's a guy that just takes away your development time for other guys. Like, you have McLaughlin there still. You have Estime. You have the young guys last year didn't play, your Blake Watsons, if you really care about them. There are ways that they didn't have to bring in a vet like Dobbins. I feel like Dobbins would have been better as like a summer luxury thing where somebody got hurt and he comes in. But I'm not a Harvey guy, so it doesn't really matter to me that much on that front. We got Philadelphia Buffalo here. More receiver would not be a bad thing. Receiver is getting a little bit ugly at this point. Caleb Johnson, power back, but I think Matthew Golden feels like a tear break to me. So I'm going to go Matthew Golden. I honestly don't even know why I think Matthew Golden's a tear break. Like, really was a shitty target under Texas. Substantially worse than Xavier Worthy at 7% less target per out run compared to their stints, their last year of college at Texas. But Golden's so fast, he will get the Watson stuff that's left behind by Watson being banged up. I think that's going to be there for him because really he's the only, Wicks can do it, but like Golden being the guy who gets the burner routes on the outside should be a logical fit for him. I don't love Golden though. Like, Golden to me as wide receiver 5 would feel a lot better than wide receiver 4. That's that. Number 1 got the late Burrow stack. Did he get both of them? Hey, there we go. So it happens sometimes. Good for him. Good call by Patrick. Yeah, Be More for life. Got Chase. Honestly, really fun start for him. Chase, Bucky, Higgins, Hunter, George Kittle. Jacoby Myers doesn't do a lot for me. Think he and Jack Best are going to eat from the same plate more than people realize. And Brock Bowers is going to be your alpha target there no matter what. But yeah, that's nice for him. Getting Burrow at 72. Especially given that we know that people will on drafters sometimes take Burrow unstacked, then like talk shit to the person in chat, which is fucking insane. Don't do that. It's awful for your team and for best ball. but good for that guy. You don't see it happen too often. Was light on Mixon, so good to buy the impending dip. I agree. I think Chubb's going to come up to, realistically, let's go down. Chubb ahead of, would it shock you if Chubb goes ahead of Tank Bigsby in rooms? I don't think it would. My opinion, Chubb should be more in this Braylon Allen, Rico Dowdle range, Roshan Johnson, where it's like theoretical work that could materialize, but it's largely contingent value as sort of the safe outcome there. I think that's where Chubb would be comfortable to me. But again, if you're getting him for free, and I've taken him on drafters, I think the most because he just feels good as like your 6th RB. I think Chubb's a decent click now. And really, he can do Joe Mixon's role if they need to. If Mixon gets hurt, he can do it. Unstacked Baker way too early. Yeah, he goes 74 to this guy who is drafting a team. Yeah, it's not great. Baker was an elite performer last year, but I would agree, and even on a drafters format, you want him stacked up with at least Evans, Godwin. Failing that, Igbuka, McMillan, but I would say to me, one of Evans or Godwin. Unstacked Baker, I think, is going to be one of the biggest. In particular in pods, unstacked Baker is going to get decimated. Because like he will create enough production for at least one guy in that receiving core to advance in playoff pods. And people do take unstacked Baker a good amount on DraftKings and Underdog too. I wouldn't do it, but at 74 especially, not great. Stacking is still very important, yeah, because you want correlated bets for your entire team. It's the most important thing in like DFS, every football concept. Very important still. Okay, so we got, I think it's a spot to take RB. Pacheco, I hate. Jordan Mason, the price tag's a little bit high, but I do think he works. Bo Nix is here. I assume he'll make it around the bend, but let's not risk it. I'll go Bo Nix. Really RB here. None of these guys I need. I'm okay with Mason. Pacheco, I don't click at all. He was just so bad last year. I think his career wouldn't shock me if it were done. He'll get a shot to rehab it, so I shouldn't be totally out of Pacheco. But I hate that click. I really hate clicking Pacheco. If I'm gonna click it 10 picks after ADP, that was probably the time to do it. Because stacking is important because even if it's like QB, RB stacking for over the course of an entire season in best ball, like the fates are intertwined for the most part with a lot of teams. Like there weren't a ton of touchdowns last year from Joe Burrow to Chase Brown, but Chase Brown benefited from that entire stack hitting. So like if you had Chase Brown, with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, like you probably had a very strong team overall. That's generally the principle of most best ball concepts. So yeah, would say stacking still very important no matter what format. ADP going to be important no matter what format. Week 17, you could throw out mostly for drafters, but I do think it is a nice boost because you really want to be able to make that leap week 17. I wouldn't go out of my way to do it on drafters, but when it aligns, I'm kind of happy to do it. And here, I guess I did technically do some week 17 correlation with Denver KC. Wasn't my intent, but it happened. That's chat popping off here. Oh, boy. Like that's why the guy took Baker. Big on Igbuka and grabbing different combos. It's fucking insane to be big on Igbuka. Now again, no disrespect to O'Shear. I'm sure lovely human being. Igbuka's, I would really have a hard time making that bet. Personally, would really have a hard time making that bet. We got some value on Jordan Mason if we want to go there. Evan Ingram, though, does make me feel pretty strong at tight end. And we have the Denver stack going, so I'm just going to do that. We need more at RB, more at receiver, but I feel really solid with a Bo Nix base with Laporta and Ingram here. So Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley, James Cook at receiver, Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson, Courtland Sutton, Matthew Golden. Golden is a little bit flimsy as wide receiver 4. I said that before, and I feel that way even more so as I go on. Laporta, Ingram here. I think we're good. Braden not happy with being sniped on Baker Mayfield. I get it. RB spike with QBs at a higher rate than people think. Yeah, still not something you want to do normally in large field DFS, but for best ball, it definitely works. And over the course of a year, even more so. You want old receiver, young receiver in buck stacks. Now, to me, it's like Evans and Godwin. If I get the original duo there, they're paid so much money. They both have reasons that they're going to be productive, I think, this year. Godwin is the best he's been in his career last year for what we saw of him fantasy-wise. And then Evans is going to compete for 1,000 yards again. Like he wants to bring that record to the grave as much as he can. So like you're going to have that. And Tampa Bay, to me, another year of this offense coming together. I just love that Tampa Bay offense. Like to me, it was one of my favorite ones in football. You guys might guess by the fact I've fucking pumped up Bucky as hard as I possibly could. And now this year too. And I came in being cynical about Liam Cohen last year in Tampa Bay. And now it's like, cool, Jacksonville load up. But Tampa Bay is going to keep enough of those principles anyway. I just love Tampa Bay. Yeah, that's good. 6 drafts in, got to get all the combos. Yep, that's, again, really, don't worry about combos early in a draft. I'll defend that one till I die. This guy, the Be More for Life guy who got Joe Burrow for cheapsies. He's like, unstacked Baker, weird. Oh, man, it's crazy that people are sniping QBs in this room. Be More for Life thriving. We'll say Be More for Life, though. Fucked up his team a little bit. He's got Burrow. Don't need Kyler Murray here. Unstacked Kyler especially. Like you have nice little Cincinnati stack, week 17 correlation for QB doesn't matter. And definitely doesn't help on drafters. I think he made a little bit of a, I would say, strategic error there, but shit can work. It's all still best ball. It still comes down to being lucky enough hitting the combo. But I think that is a little bit of a misallocation of draft capital by the guy in the one hole too. Ingram will go off this year in the Joker role. Yeah, just like Greg Dulcich did. Just like Adam Troutman did. What other fucking shitty tight ends they put out? Just like Jake Butt. I don't know. That's not one of the Sean Payton ones. But it feels like it spiritually. But I think Ingram's going to be a target earner no matter what. Like, I think that he and Mims probably run against each other a little bit for the low A dot stuff. But I think you're going to see a lot of good breaking routes for Ingram this year. I think they're going to use him. I think his usage pattern aligns well with what New Orleans tight ends have done historically. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot of tight ends hitting for Denver, though. We got, all right, nice little pocket if we want to hit RB. Do you also think receiver could be a decent click here? Because we're coming up on a bit of a tier break. And I think Christian Kirk for a PPR team, I think makes this up a little bit. So I'm going to keep rolling with Saquon and Cook. They should be making lineups more often than not. Tyrone Tracy, ATN, also okay clicks for me. But really want to get the fifth receiver in because I don't think Matthew Golden is an ideal PPR wide receiver 4. We got a few picks, so I'll give the team a read here. We got Bo Nix, Saquon Barkley, James Cook as our 2 RBs up top. Again, feel good about those guys helming my room. Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson, Courtland Sutton, Matthew Golden, Christian Kirk is our receiver room. And then a tight end, elite tight end technically, with Sam Laporta and Evan Ingram. Spent a lot of draft capital on tight end, so not going to touch that again for a while. See what these guys do, though. Really thinking about it. My DraftKings draft flew by today, so I have to assume this drafters one is going to really be me living in the muck. Guys, we're really thinking through the clock here. But yeah, I would say your last domino now that we've seen Nick Chubb in terms of like free guys that if they sign somewhere, going to soar up 50 to whatever spots at ADP. Keenan Allen. I take a ton of Keenan Allen still. He is my bailout when my receiver room doesn't feel great at wide receiver 6. Especially, frankly, you could tell me he's my wide receiver 5, and I wouldn't be the maddest at it. Keenan Allen was still useful last year. There's going to be a time where he does land somewhere. I have to believe, even if it takes the entire offseason, I do think Keenan Allen goes somewhere and matters. So I am a big fan of Keenan Allen still and think that he is a nice click. Tyrone Tracy here, now a 12-pick ADP discount. Sure. RB3. Got 5 receivers, 3 RBs. And Tyrone Tracy, certainly a player that Cam Scadabo, I do think is coming for his lunch right away. Still a world where Tracy can hit and Scadabo could take longer. I think taking both sides of that equally, one of those moves. I don't think that was pure tight end piggy. If I took like McBride and then took Laporta, I think that's like more tight end piggy. But definitely, tight draft capital and tight end. No pun intended. I like a 5 QB build. What are we doing here? I assume this guy's got to be doing a bit, but you really don't know in these draft worlds. You don't know these guys in your room, and they might like 5 QBs, and they might like losing money or donating if you want to spin it positively. But shout out to all you guys hanging out here again. Tuesday streams, not my most highly attended ones, but I still show up and do the work here as I promised the entire offseason. Of course, Drafts on Drafters. The channel is sponsored by Drafters. I'll hit on that in a moment, but please do subscribe down below with the like button, leave a comment. Again, Tuesdays and Thursdays I do drafts. Thursday is also my 420 draft day because I have to pick the kid up from daycare so we could spark one up and do it. But hang out with me on Thursdays at 4 p.m. and Tuesdays at 4 p.m. It's one regular spot we have here. Fridays are the big main event where we draft on Drafters, Underdog, and DraftKings. And all my content this year is presented by Drafters. So check them out. I'll link in the description. Of course, you go to drafters.com or use the promo code SPLASH on the Drafters Fantasy app. But check it out. It's a great site to play on. And in particular, the big thing for me is that I've had great results in putting in not a ton of entries. Put in only 3 entries for playoff best ball last year on Drafters. Finished top 12, and they were all on stream as well. So it was really crazy to get that run out. Year before that, I put in 30 entries, finished top 100 in the Drafters big tournament as well. That's kind of upside you have with less entries on Drafters. So obviously, I'm predisposed, a little bit biased to Drafters because they do help me put on the show. They've been a great partner for the Splash Play channel for years, but also it just is maybe the most money for the least amount of effort. So it's the biggest ad I give for you guys, the biggest cosign I give to it. And again, I wouldn't promote it in that way if I didn't think it was true, because I think it's really important to have some honesty in best ball because people have unrealistic expectations. You're not going to win all the money on Drafters, but I think you'll be more live for it given the fact we've had, besides my finishes, we've had like 3 or 4 guys in the community finish top 10 as well. It's crazy the amount of people have won a lot of money on Drafters in the Splash Play universe. So show us some love if you can. Check it out. They're either joking or angry / autistic. I mean, look, you never know. When a guy grabs Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray, who knows? You might want to add on Trevor Lawrence. You might want to add on CJ Stroud. I'm just naming guys to see on the screen. You never know. You never know. All right, we need to get a little more in it for RB at some point, though. Feels like with this room, 5 is enough. 6 in our 20-round draft we can live with if we want to. But not many guys at this point can outscore Saquon and James Cook too often, you would think. Barring absolute floor outcomes for these guys. Got to think about QB2 as well. So we lost out on Fields, so that does make it a little bit tough. Where did Fields go? If Fields went to this guy ahead, nah. You got a Fields Breece Hall stack for himself. I don't think that's going to connect too much, buddy, if I had to guess. Your hope with Breece Hall is that they ping-pong days. Breece Hall, I have to say, probably my least favorite ADP on the board. And like some of the rookies, I think are overpriced. We've talked enough about that. RJ Harvey now certainly, I think, going to be objectively overpriced for where he's going. But Breece Hall, just 10 picks too early, I think. For an ambiguous backfield where the coach speak has been, everybody's going to get a shot to be in the mix. Wouldn't be my favorite click. Let's see what Gabe Davis does here. I'm going to go CJ Stroud because I think we're in danger of getting boxed out of QB here. Could always put together something late with Tennessee in particular. Cam Ward with your Tyler Lockett, Ayumanor, Chikakonkwo. That always works for me late as well. But at this point, really not seeing a ton of late outs. So we're going to go with Christian Kirk. Is Kyler paired with anybody? I don't think so. You know, you got nobody with Kyler. Yeah, Kyler unstacked used to be a thing that would work. Now, I mean, supposedly he wants to run more. That's been the talk this offseason. But I don't think you can guarantee that. Usually when guys stop running, same thing happened with Drake May in college, and then he carried over to last year. When guys stop running, they usually don't run again after that. So I would worry a little bit about the Kyler running game usage a little bit if you are taking them unstacked, especially. Happy to hear your take on Breece. Crane and friends seem to slam every time. Yeah, I mean, look, I've said it before, and it's no disrespect to those guys. I think there is a little bit of a take lock that happens when you do this for a few years too many. Like, I don't know how you look at Breece Hall's numbers from last year and go, yep, this dude crushed. Like, he did awesome. Let's go back to this again. And I think, too, when you hear the coach speak and they talk very obviously about getting Braylon Allen in the mix, getting Isaiah Davis in the mix, it's been pretty – and they talk about trading Breece Hall before that. I think it's pretty abundantly clear that Breece Hall, like, he can win touches, he can win opportunity, he can run hot, he can be the best version of himself in this Lions offense. I fully see that. Just don't think he's priced correctly for how they've talked about him and treated him, basically. We're on the clock here. Austin Eckler, I think a tier break for me at RB, so getting him in as RB4, PPR especially, where he can pick up some checkdowns like he did last year. And Eckler, too, one of those guys that played well. I mean, all right, let's do a fun little game. Austin Eckler, 0.1 EPA per rush, 0.26 EPA per target, 13% avoided tackle rate, 21% target per out run, 1.7 red zone rushes a game. Actually, no, is that right? Huh. Eckler got no red zone targets last year. Or maybe he didn't qualify. That could be it. Either way, Austin Eckler, good numbers, right? Across the board. Breece Hall last year. Breece Hall, negative 0.09 EPA per rush. And again, the Jets offense is not as good as Washington's, so whatever. But I also was in on Washington's offense last year, so I'll take that. But Breece Hall, negative 0.09 EPA per rush, negative 0.03 EPA per pass, 12.5% avoided tackle rate, exactly the same as Austin Eckler, basically. 23.8% target per out run, a little bit higher than Austin Eckler. 2 flat red zone opportunities a game between target and rushes. I don't think Breece Hall's guaranteed a ton more opportunity than Austin Eckler. That's an extreme hyperbolic example of it. But like, based on the results we got last year, there's nothing about Breece Hall. It's like, oh man, like he fucking was awesome. And he's so much better than Austin Eckler. It's like, they have different roles. They have different whatever. I understand that. I'm very aware of that. But I think it's just carrying priors. I really strongly think it's carrying priors. Kyler ain't good enough passer or rusher to be comfy naked unless 2 rounds after ADP. Yeah, that's fair. I think it's a totally fair take. I think that he and McBride is still the best appealing stack to me. But Marvin Harrison looks jacked. I'm sure you guys saw that on social media, so maybe he's got that going for him too. But Kyler's biggest upside will be those guys hit their apex as passers and he runs something closer to what he did in the past. Not sure if you're going to get that. Kyler was not 2 rounds after ADP. He took him like right at ADP. Kyler was a 96.5 ADP. He took him at 96. So not correct. Not correct. It's not a steal. It's in fact the market price. It's not, you can't just say things when we have the price. When we're on the Price is Right, the sticker for the price tag's not hidden, Patrick. It's right here. The price tag was exactly the same price tag. It wasn't a steal. He got it at the market amount here. You didn't find a buddy didn't have Kyler Murray falling off a truck. He got Kyler Murray from Walmart. He got Kyler Murray from a big box store. He got Kyler Murray in the airport gift shop. There was not marked down on Kyler Murray. This ADP is fine. And that's Kyler Murray priors, yeah. Kyler Murray last 2 years? No. But we'll see. I still like Arizona, so I'm not like trying to shit on Kyler, but like sometimes you got to get out of your head that like this dude is not the same guy he was in the past. The price tag is totally fair with where it is now. Not beneficial. That's that. But I appreciate the enthusiasm, you know. We got Bretton Strange here. Do need some more at receiver at this point. RB feeling pretty decently covered. Look, I still like Leggett's potential. I take a good amount of Tet McMillan. Leggett, coming out of college, still thought there was some A.J. Brown in his game, playing the power slot. He's now not playing slot. That's all Adam Thielen, so that's not great. And if it's not Thielen, it'll probably be Coker. But Leggett's got enough potential still that I'll take the shot on him, even though he wasn't great last year. I think numerically, to me, feels a little Quentin Johnson-y. Negative 0.04 positive EPA per target. But he's a receiver. It should be positive. 21% target per out run, 1.1 deep targets a game, 0.6 in the red zone. Kind of like a basic bitch role. Nothing special. But Bryce Young should be better. Canal should be better. That's the hope. Oh, yeah. So that was Tyler behind the Typhel Hauer handle. So these are good takes, but it could have been best ball guy. Could have been PPR Tyler. We just don't know. Check out the Typhel Tower channel, though. It is Tyler doing a good job with the PPR Tyler and with Eric, a.k.a. Best Ball Guy. His name is not Tyler. I will never get that wrong again. But check those guys out. 3 guys who are working really hard, trying to get you to watch their channels. I like BBG. I don't like calling him BBG because that sounds like boy girl porn to me. But I do like Best Ball Guy. I think I've done streams with him through Tyler before, and I think he's a very sharp guy. I think he does a good job. All right, we got Rico Dowdle here. Alec Pierce, I think, helps us get a little more juice in that receiver. Okay, we just want spike week guys at this point because the receiver room doesn't make me feel the most comfortable. I think we deprived it a little bit too much. So Alec Pierce, wide receiver 7 for me. Give the team a read here. We got Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, Saquon Barkley, James Cook, Tyrone Tracy, Austin Eckler. Again, top 2 is really strong at RB. I still probably could have fed the beast a little bit more at running back with somebody in the 70 to 90 range, I guess. Receiver, though, we got Rashee Rice. Got to pay a steep price tag for him. Garrett Wilson, we got as a discount. Normally goes right where Rashee Rice goes, so maybe a slightly unique combo, at least for right now on drafters. Courtland Sutton, Matthew Golden, Christian Kirk, Xavier Leggett, Alec Pierce. I think we're making an okay late run at receiver here for guys that still have theoretical upside. And Pierce is the only one that does what he does for Indianapolis. That'll always stand out to me. And then a tight end, Laporta and Ingram. I think the tight end draft capital really is what fucked us up. Like RB was a lot. The 2 tight end picks in that 60 to 100 range, I think were not ideal. So whoever, I think it was a teabagging, whatever, I think got it right that I probably was too much of a tight end picky. That probably hurt the team the most. Shout out Tyler. Always appreciate his kindness gifting a membership. Hopefully somebody lovely got it. I don't see who gets it on StreamYard, but I do appreciate Tyler for his generosity as always. And Tyler, an OG of the community. Robert Griffin the Turd, another one. Matthew, another historical anomalies. He hasn't been in chat in a while, so hopefully he still loves me. But shout out to all the OGs here who have been around for a while. Do appreciate them. Steel City Blue, also been around for a while. Hello from San Diego. Taking a quick break from Cisco Live to say thanks for the content. Chris, thank you, Steel City Blue. I appreciate it. And hope that San Diego, you must be enjoying your time. Go egg pack Kareem's house and tell him Breece Hall sucks. No, frighten his child, too. Frighten his baby. Oh, Trader Joe got it. Trader Joe, hop in the Discord. You should do that. If you are a paying member for the channel, make sure to get Discord access. Links in the description. It is a great place to be. It's also, candidly, you pay more if you get it through Stochastics. You get it cheaper here by joining YouTube. $5 to join. And really, my goal is to build a community of people that I like, who are intellectually curious about football, sexually curious about football, if you want, if you want that too. But mostly feel happy about the amount of guys we have in there now. We have a lot of members who pay for the channel that aren't in the Splash Play Discord. So if you're already paying, make sure to join the Discord. If you're not paying, do it, because I think it'll be a value add for you. I'm happy with the guys we have in there. Do appreciate all the guys who do participate and ask good questions, talk about various stuff. San Diego here too. Oh, that's why you're so into Kyler Murray. You've been too busy enjoying the sun, enjoying life outside, and you missed the fact that Kyler Murray has fallen off a cliff. But look, San Diego, would love to live in San Diego if we could. Price tag for moving there with the toddler, though, I don't think, unfortunately, in range. Got to win BBM and DraftKings and drafters, I think, to afford to move back to Southern California and buy a house. We got Jalen Noel here, falling as a little bit of a discount. Similar bet to Christian Kirk. I can live with that. Stocks up with Stroud. Think they're both playing slot for Houston. That's my big pet theory. That's not even a pet theory. I mean, I think we'll know it when we get to July. But it's going to be Nico outside. It's going to be Higgins outside. It's going to be Christian Kirk playing your primary slot. Jalen Noel should be the burner coming in slot mostly. Some Tank Dell outside routes, I think will be there for him. But Noel at this price tag, if I have Stroud, I think a good click. Not sure that he's a good click with Christian Kirk, though, because I do think he's a bet where Noel probably hits his ceiling outcome if Kirk fails outright, if he's as bad as Jacksonville. So that'd be the hope. Fact watch from South Carolina. Thanks for watching from South Carolina. Always glad to hear the expansion of our regions and our folks. Shout Fact being here. Don't accuse him of being lie 74. That's the kind of quality content you get here. I say the opposite of what your username is, and think it's a funny thing. Also in South Carolina, oh, we're crushing it. I didn't know we were killing it down there. You guys in Myrtle Beach? Are you guys in Hilton Head? I know places. Are you in Paris Island, where I once had John Cena go for a PR event when he was the Marine? I hate Dalton Schultz, but I think he'd be a logical third tight end if he floats around. At this point, contingent value RB, I don't think it'd be a bad click. We didn't take Jonathan Taylor, who would have been the range of guys we could have taken. So I'll take DJ Giddens here. I think Giddens, a player I don't like very much. I think his pathway to usage is not the highest. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor getting 20, 25 touches a game again. That would be my guess. Giddens, if he's lucky, gets 2 to 5. And mostly his upside is if Taylor gets hurt. But in this team, I think we would have been in range to take Taylor. So to try to make that logic work for I'm taking Giddens today. I want to get some Giddens. I get people who I respect think Giddens is a good click. I just don't think he showed enough analytically for me, and I think the job is very safely Jonathan Taylor's. We got Giddens here. Thank you, Roger, for the turn for the chat. Appreciate the here. Squirt Tax. Appreciate all the support as always, and please do click send those super chats. Join the channel though, so you get some value out of it. It's always my hope. And my 2 QB or 3 QB builds this year just comes down to what you spend on it. With Nix and Stroud, I think taking a third QB would be logical, but I'm not going to force it if I don't have it there. Like if Cam Ward aligned well enough, I'm happy to add him on as a third QB very often. Besides him, though, Rodgers I could take if I have Pittsburgh as a third QB. But like for Nix and Stroud, they're steady enough. They both are players I think, certainly locked to starting roles. And hopefully have enough upside week to week. Does feel a little thin projection-wise, so adding a third QB on wouldn't be crazy. But I'm going to take like Tyler Shuck now. Like, what does Tyler Shuck really add projection-wise? Based on at least the main expectation there, 10 to 15 points a game. I don't know that I would take Shuck here when I have Nix and Stroud. Dalvin, Jerry back here. Dalvin Cook for my last pick. Yeah, Jerry, unfortunately, the Dalvin Cook has sunk like a stone these days. He doesn't even come up in reports for anything anymore. Let's see. Let's Google Dalvin Cook. Not to be mean to Jerry, because Jerry, I appreciate him continuing with the bit. Dalvin Cook's last thing here in the Google results. Be prepared when he was on the Cowboys. He didn't have to be too prepared. Dalvin Cook legal stuff. Most recent thing. What about Dalvin Cook's NFL offseason availability? This must be an AI article that's incorrect. People comparing themselves to Dalvin Cook. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Dalvin's in the hunt for a job, but neither is Keenan Allen, and I really like him as a pick. So maybe I've become Jerry as well. Taylor is Trader Joe's least drafted. I don't take a lot of Jonathan Taylor either because I take Bucky in that range, but Taylor did win somebody Best Ball Mania last year, and Daniel Jones can run for touchdowns, but he won't as much as AR would have, I would think. So there's certainly utility for Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if he's living his best life. He's got legal issues, but he made enough money in his career that he should be. Let's see. Checking the chats. Chat is horny ball-knowing Voltron coming together from all parts of the United Skates. Thank you for, I don't know if you meant to say skates. United Skeets, I think would have been relevant there. All right, we got still Dalton Schultz floating around. I'm just going to end his misery and mine and take Dalton Schultz here. Don't think we need him with Laporta and Ingram, but he does stack up with Houston. Maybe there's some world he could put up a 2-touchdown game. But Schultz disappointed the shit out of me last year because I thought the price tag was nice for him, and I thought Houston would be an offense that was not absolute dog shit. Unfortunately, both parts of that were incorrect. So Schultz, I have a strong anti-bias with, but he's here. We'll click him. Thoughts on Amari Cooper? I do not feel the same way about him as I do Keenan Allen. I think that he showed he's probably at the downside of his career with how he played last year. Let's see. 0.04 EPA per target, not very good for a boundary receiver. 23.5% target per out run, not dead. 1.4 deep targets a game, obviously including both the Cleveland time and the Buffalo time. But really, he could not sign anywhere this offseason, and it wouldn't shock me. He definitely, I would think he lands on a roster at some point, but he and Keenan Allen both probably wanted too much money to show up for minicamp and OTAs. When those guys will sign or could sign, they would be more likely they sign like Julio Jones style when they get to training camp. And suddenly a team realizes, oh, this guy we brought in as a rookie, this guy we brought in as a free agent. Nick Westbrook-Akine is playing terrible for Miami. I don't think that'd be an exact spot. That kind of situation where it's like, oh, we brought this dude in, thought he'd be valuable. Instead for Miami, they're using Malik Washington more, are the reports that are coming out of the Dolphins camp so far. But in reality, that's kind of spot where maybe Keenan Allen would come in. It's like, oh, this guy's not who we thought he was. And now we try, the vet that's a steady hand theoretically. Really not a great spot here for anything. Tesla, Ayumanor is still a player. I mean, frankly, you know what? I said I wouldn't do it. I guess, honestly, you know what? Instead of that, let's go Anthony Richardson, right? Because Daniel Jones already got picked, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, got picked up here. I was going to do Tyler Shuck because you could do a late New Orleans stack. Take one of the RBs. Juwan Johnson went, so that wouldn't be there. Could have taken Brandon Cooks with him. I was thinking about it. But we have Alec Pierce here. I'll just take Anthony Richardson, and if he plays, great. If he doesn't play, doesn't matter. But got to remember that for maybe not so much drafters where there hasn't been a ton of entries put in, but for BBM, for DraftKings, there's been a lot of AR taken in the 150s, 160s, 170s, 180s. Getting him at 220 here feels kind of nice. Even if he doesn't play a single down this year, we got him in round 19. So we'll do that. We're more like Tyler Akfashuk. Okay. Tyler Shuckett. He might end up shucking it, but Kellen Moore likes him, and that'll be my continuing defense of him. Shout Fantasy Football Garage doing some fun streams with our guy Bindles and some other stuff. A lot of guys streaming. Everybody that's been in the communities out there on Twitter and on YouTube, they all have streams. So if there's a decent chance, if you like somebody's chats on here or somewhere else, they might have best ball streams for these days. But Fantasy Football Garage does a good job with it, what I've seen. ARC, a shoulder specialist, bet it's surgery. They did say he's getting a second opinion, yeah. It's not great. But again, for this team, we got Nixon Stroud, so we would just need AR to get in for the fantasy playoffs, ideally. Maybe a little bit earlier. Would be nice. But it's 20-round draft. On drafters, too, I really feel like the top 18 rounds have now gotten pretty efficient, where you're free guys that feel pretty good. Your Diami Browns earlier in the offseason, he's now gone pretty early. Tesla's hanging around. I don't really feel the most excited for him. Even Lockett goes round 18. The round 19 and 20 on drafters right now, would say it's been solved, but it's about as efficiently priced as it's been at any point. Just got to take a Jimmy Garoppolo. What are we doing, man? You have Justin Fields and Tua Tagovailoa. There's no reason to take Jimmy Garoppolo there. I don't get it. Shuck doesn't fuck because he's sitting in the cuck chair. Glad I read that one out loud. Start a stock trading pot smoking stream soon. There you go. Find your passion. Who knows? You left for Tyler Conklin as your last tight end, especially if you have Herbert. Some of the guys who I think are sharp in the community, Emo Cowboy, like him. We did discuss this in the Discord at one point, Jerry, and the money going to Disley is like 5x what Conklin's getting paid. So I would still think it's Disley, but if he's your tight end 3, tight end 4 especially, I don't think that'd be crazy. So yeah, you can do that if you want. God, I just hate everything at this point. Deontay Johnson is in camp for the Browns. I don't think that matters too much. Troy Franklin here. I could do that. Somebody took Vele already. Vele is getting a little bit of camp hype because he's out playing Patrick Bryant so far. But Troy Franklin's a different kind of receiver who can spike. Did spike in the playoffs with a 50-yard touchdown. We'll take one more shot here at Troy Franklin. So because we got the Bo Nix stack. So final team of 3-5-9-3. Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, who we got for free in the 19th round. Otherwise, I would not take him very much at all. Saquon Barkley, which makes me so sad, by the way, because like I hit on this guy. I really think there was a sliding doors moment, both for me winning BBM 2 years ago and for Anthony Richardson's career, where if he had played that year, he probably would have grown and developed because his rates were nowhere as bad as they were this past season. Instead, he got hurt, fell off. Now year 2 was terrible. Now year 3, he's not recovering, was maybe not doing the right stuff in the offseason either. Poor AR. RB, though, Saquon Barkley, James Cook, Tyrone Tracy, Austin Eckler, DJ Giddens. He also just might have been terrible that rookie year at some point, but I refuse to believe it. I know what my eyes saw and what my data saw. Wide receiver, Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson, Courtland Sutton, Matthew Golden, Christian Kirk. Again, top 4 here with Golden. Feel a little bit naked with that. But ADP-wise, we did technically put a lot of draft capital in a receiver to move things comfortably there. But Kirk is wide receiver 5, Xavier Leggett, Alec Pierce, Jalen Noel, and Troy Franklin. Then a tight end, Sam Laporta, Evan Ingram, Dalton Schultz. So Houston stack, Denver stack. Laporta is an elite tight end. Didn't really need Laporta in this build, but I think the team works. Damar Hamlin lives so my best ball teams could die. That's true. That was the year before that, I think, was right. That was a Trey Lance year. But yes, that was injuries in best ball. We just got to accept them. But shout out to all you guys hanging out who did hang out or have hung out. Show some love if you can. Check out our friends at Drafters. Promo code SPLASH at drafters.com, where the Drafters fantasy app gets you a $100 deposit match. As you can see here, it's very easy to build good teams if you try to focus in the right way. Some people will make mistakes alongside you and you'll soak up some value. Really, the big thing for me is, as I've talked about earlier, I've won with teams I've drafted on stream. I've won without maxing out the tournaments, and that's a big thing because, frankly, on the other sites, do you think you need to be maxing out to have a shot at realizing your true expected value? For Drafters, I think your lottery tickets go a little bit further, so check them out. Again, their big tournament is $500K to first place, and they are the presenting sponsor of the show. So check out Drafters again, $100 deposit match at drafters.com or the Drafters Daily Fantasy app. Check out my DraftKings stream as well that I did on Stochastic. I'll put it in the pinned comments down below. But if you want some DraftKings takes from me, did have some other stuff on there that I did right before this show. And make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Pod. Of course, more streams coming up every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. We do Drafters. The big 3 sites we do on Fridays. I'm going to add some more along the way as well. Now we're more so in best ball summer, but I'm trying to kind of stay in my lane because the views, it's really competitive views-wise right now. So, what is what it is. But here's a nude egg. Give him a chance. There we go. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. 420 stream on Thursday if you want to join for that one too. So I'll see you then. Bye.